Ooh, what's good, family? Massive love to the doggy Louis Perkins for keeping it a trilly in your man the YB coin. That's what we do know. Yeah, the coin remain boosted right now, 100%. Now, we got some breaking news right now regarding the world's most infamous bodybuilder. Yeah, the GOAT, Anthony Johnson. Now, as you've seen by the title, the news is coming hot off the press. A leaked source has revealed to the YB exclusively that Anthony Johnson signed Robert Garcia as his head trainer. Now, this is the source the YB got, and it's from Mike Coppinger. Mike Coppinger came into your man the YB's DMs and said, listen YB, obviously you're the biggest, you've got the whole UK boxing scene on lock right now, and therefore I'm going to pattern you the game right now, 100%. He said the following: Robert Garcia will train the #1 weight pumper, Anthony Johnson, in England for the heavyweight title rematch versus Alexander Usyk on July 23rd in Saudi Arabia. Sources tell the YB and ESPN. Garcia, an ex-champ and trainer of the year, is revered for his game plans. AJ was trained by Rob McCracken since his pro debut. Coppinger carries on, woofing. I love this move for AJ. Garcia will surely work on him being the big man and using some roughhouse tactics. Besides the job he's done with his brother Mickey Mouse, he's done great work with Jose Ramirez, Brandon Rios, and a host of others. One of the best in the game. So there you go then. This is a leaked ESPN source. By the way, the YB. AJ has got the pattern now with Robert Garcia. What are my thoughts on this? Listen, Robert Garcia is like... well, he's not as bad as the UK's version of Adam Booth, but it's a similar kind of thing here. Yeah, Freddie Roach. I mean, whatever. All these kind of guys are alright. In fact, I'm not even going to scrap Freddie Roach. Let's focus on Robert Garcia. Robert Garcia, what has he actually done? What specific skills has Robert Garcia demonstrated that can fill the very specific holes AJ has? Yeah, the key hole for AJ is who can motivate AJ, who can get him in proper grimy mode, ready to get stuck in. That's the core thing here. Yes, AJ has technical holes. Yes, he has no inside defense. Yes, he has no inside fighting in general, really. Yes, he has no confidence. But from a macro sense, listen, we could train AJ's defense all day. If his trainer and himself aren't able to flick that switch to get down and dirty, it's not going to matter, is it? Because even if we gave AJ maximum... even if we maxed out all of AJ's FIFA stats, max defense, max this, max that, if he hasn't got the engine, the heart, the nuts to apply them, all he'll do is stand there with a nice tight guard and just get teed off on, won't he? It wasn't technique that lost AJ the Usyk fight, as Chisora proved. Chisora, who don't even train for fights, and at his best was a limited fighter, and is 50 years old, went in there and really it was at best, even the biggest Usyk fans can't say that Usyk won more than 55-45. Chisora versus Usyk was a 50-50 fight. And Chisora, as I've said, was old, doesn't train, don't take it seriously, and was never that good anyway. And he lost. Chisora has a better loss to Usyk than AJ does. Chisora was never rocked. Chisora came out of that fight saying, yeah, I'm 100% sure AJ wins because he's a better version of me and all this other stuff. Oops. Chisora was adamant, saying, listen, Usyk's got no power. I've been in there with him. I know he's got no power. Chisora had a 10 times better loss than AJ did. And that's not because Chisora is really motivated, that's not because Chisora's really disciplined or has loads of technique, is it? No, it came down to Chisora has innate, and yes, he's not Hall of Famer. He's not got Hall of Fame levels of heart or whatever. Because if he had that kind of thing, he'd be serious. He don't. Chisora disrespects a sport and just milks it for coin. To be honest with you, turns up to lose every time. If Chisora actually turned up and give it a good effort, he'd have beat Usyk in my opinion. But he don't. He takes a piss. All he cares about is lining his pockets. He don't really care about giving anything back to the sport, i.e. applying himself fully and taking it serious. He's been renowned for doing that. Turns up for 2-week training camp and then goes in there and then talks about war Chisora. No, ending up in a war every time you fight because you're lazy in training and don't take the sport serious, that's not war Chisora. Yeah, that's lazy Chisora. That's what that is. You're not supposed to rely on going to war every time because you're lazy in training. But anyway, the point is, even though I'm not going to sit here and, as you've heard, even though I'm critical of Chisora, on a scale of 1 to 10, he has bags of 7 out of 10 warness, if that's what you want to call it. Chisora has bags of 7 out of 10 warrior's codeness. He naturally, without a camp, without anything else, without taking the sport seriously, he can go in there and flick a good 6 or 7 out of 10 warrior's codeness. AJ has a 1 out of 10 warrior's codeness. He can get punched in the mouth, he can get knocked around the ring, he can be in front of 70,000 fans and still have no shame about doing nothing. Do you understand? Whereas Chisora can have no cardio left and he's still able to flick the switch. You know what I'm saying? Chisora can have not trained for a camp but still have that innate ability within him to say it's time to go. Now's go time. So the reason I tell you that is, again, the technical parts aren't what we need to analyse here. The key, yes, of course, ideally you want a trainer like the YB who can get them Bulls engine going. Your man the YB would have AJ 10 out of 10 warrior's codeness, simple as that. Yeah, and also AJ be 10 out of 10 inside fighting us as well. Pure D and pure O as well. Offense and defense, a whole lot of it. Maxed out. 100%. That's what would happen. But nonetheless, well not nonetheless, but instead he ain't going with a YB. He going with some next zesty ass dude, Robert Bumseer. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why his name is Robert Bumseer as well. As I've explained. As far as, if I was managing AJ, the trainer we need, technique and other stuff would come after. I need a trainer who I know, or who I'm more confident, the highest trainer from AJ's point of view should be, who can get me, who can lead me like a general into war. AJ's not a thinker. He's not a thinker. When he is a thinker, he turns out he's not a thinker. Do you know what I'm saying? When AJ thinks he's a thinker, he ends up getting whooped by everyone, so he's not a thinker. If he was a thinker, he'd have found a way, kind of like Andre Ward does. Or kind of like Mayweather does. If AJ was such a deep thinker, he'd have found a way. He don't do that. He ain't a thinker. He dopey. AJ is the kind of cannon fodder Don. Yeah? Big bulky dude who needs to be... Don't do too much thinking. The less AJ uses his head, the better he is. Facts. That's just what it is, people. The minute he starts thinking, that's when it falls apart. Look at the Ruiz 1 fight. The minute he comes out trying to use his brain, he get mosher bashed all over the place. You need to go in there, not think about, oh, I need longevity in the game. Let's not forget, people, that's where this whole thing originated from. Oh, I need to make sure I've got longevity in the game. Listen, longevity in the game. If you carry on doing that, you'll have a whole bunch of longevity of losing. That's what you'll have. You'll have a resume full of losses about longevity. Yeah, don't get me, listen, fair play to the guy. AJ's doing very well at getting a long-ass losing record. Yeah, plenty of losing longevity. Yeah, whole bunch of it. Dude loves to lose. Always find a way to lose. Yeah, lovely long resume full of losses. That's what your longevity looking at right now. 100%. That's what it is. Anyone can have a go on you. Mr. Blobby, Mr. Middleweight, no shame. Yeah, a whole bunch of resume full of losses. That's what you got right now. That's how your longevity is looking. Facts. So like I said, as far as Robert Garcia goes, what has he showed us that can fulfill, or potentially fulfill, you man tell me, what information are we seeing that Robert Garcia can get AJ to that point, can lead AJ into battle and get him motivated? Guess what? I've got evidence to the contrary. Yeah? We've just heard Mike Coppinger, and the problem is, you see, a lot of these news guys, Coppinger, Benson, they're just random man. They're random corporate media man. Yeah? Mike Coppinger probably comes from, he used to do reporting on, I don't know, he used to do real estate reporting. Yeah, talk about the real estate market. The point is, a lot of these guys, they're in the media in general, and then they end up just with an assignment here. Do you get what I'm saying? They don't really understand the sport, and that's why a lot of these media guys, they hear these big names, Freddie Roach and big name Robert Garcia, and all they do is, oh great, big name, wicked, it must be great, yeah, great look because he's got Mikey Garcia. But people who know the sport, like the YB, will tell you, what do we know about Mikey Garcia? Mikey Garcia went into his last fight against some random ass dude and lost his belts and got beat. And in that performance, he showed no oomph. He showed that typical Bomelo Alvarez, Anthony Johnston indifference. I'm losing. It's clear I'm losing, and I'm not really fussed because I'm rich, and I'm getting the bag anyway. So why is that relevant? Well, Robert Garcia, this great trainer, can't even motivate his own brother in the corner. And also, in that fight when he was losing, when Mikey Garcia was losing, Robert Garcia never said, Mikey, you're throwing it away, you're getting whooped, pull your finger out your ass. No. Robert Garcia was like an auntie. Oh, yeah, Mikey, great job, Mikey. Great job, Mikey. Oh, great job, Mike. Yeah? He didn't do, and that's why I rate Bomac. Because when Terence Crawford was boxing Sean Porter, and it was it could be even though it wasn't a close fight, Bomac wasn't a sideman like Robert Garcia is. Bomac said, listen, I don't know whether you're losing or not, but let's be safe here. I'm going to tell you you're losing. That's my philosophy. If a fight's close, I'm not going to pull a Ben Davidson and say, yeah, well, you might be nicking, you're winning, you're dominating it. No, I'm going to do what, and again, fair play to Floyd. Floyd, when Tank Davis in one of his last fights, the fight could have been perceived to be going the other way against his fighter. Floyd came out and said, Tank, you're losing. There's absolutely no benefit of telling a fighter he's winning if the fight's close. Tell him he's losing. You're getting whooped, you're looking stupid in there. Get desperate. And like I said, AJ versus Usyk, of all of AJ's 30 trainers, which one told him, AJ, you're losing, time to get desperate? None. Oh, great AJ, amazing AJ. Same as Mikey Garcia. When Mikey Garcia losing, where Robert Garcia coming in hot? Mikey, you're getting whooped by some random ass dude we never heard of before. So, it begs the question, AJ bringing in Robert Garcia, who can't even motivate his own brother, and or can't even communicate the advice that's needed at the time, the desperate advice, and that's why I respect Sugar Hill as well. Sugar Hill, when Fury was fighting Wilder, had similar things. Fury, get behind the jab. Doing all this going war-to-war rubbish, just cancel it. Throw heavy shots behind the jab. And he's emotive. That's inspiring. That's the kind of person you need in the corner. Someone who can inspire you to do what they're saying, and more than that, inspire you in general to get it. Not these dopey ass quiet people like Mikey Garcia. What's the guy? Rob McCracken. Rob McCracken ain't inspired no one to do anything. That's why Carl Froch don't listen to him. That's why AJ don't listen to him. And Monotone are no good. We don't need Monotone. And to be fair, Tunde Ajayi is another example. If I had to choose between Robert Garcia and Tunde, I'd take Tunde right now. I just would. Because I'd rather see AJ go in there, empty the tank, on some next mad thing, and then lose. At least we can say, well, he went all in. Yeah? I'd prefer that right now over Robert Garcia, because we know categorically Robert Garcia is not the right way. Robert Garcia is taking this as a money assignment. Great. And even Bomelo Alvarez and his trainer. I wouldn't take Bomelo's trainer either, because guess what? When Bomelo was losing against Bivol, at not one point did you see the so-called 10-time trainer of the year, I've got the guy's name now, whoever Bomelo's trainer is, you didn't hear him get number one, you didn't hear him get emotive, i.e., come on, dig in, Canelo. Come on, Canelo, you talk about how hard you are, you talk about how much discipline you got, now's the time to be disciplined, now's the time to be acting really hard, now's the time to show you're a goat. Don't just sit there on the ropes and do weird stuff, get stuck in. Now's the time to be Cinco de Mayo, now's the time to be Mr. Mexican style. Where was all that? Nowhere to be found. And instead, his trainer comes out, oh, we think we won the fight. You think you won the fight? What? Never mind think you won the fight. Where was the correct advice that was needed at the time? Like, empty the tank. If I was in Bumelo's corner, I'd have told him, listen, Bumelo, yeah? You've been rinsing the Mexican culture for 6 years. Oh, I'm going to go on all of the Mexican holidays. Yeah. Rinse all the Mexican pay-per-views. Back in May, or May 10th, whenever it was, that was the time to give something back to the culture. I've been rinsing Mexican pay-per-views. Now's the time to show a bit of Mexican. He ain't shown no Mexican. He roll over like a fanny, like the rest of them. Yeah? And Canelo's trainer didn't say anything to the contrary of that. Canelo's trainer let him roll over and have his belly tickled. As they all do today. Because today, this sport is all about money. On all sides. The fighters only care about money. The trainers only care about money. The trainers are more worried about offending the fighter. Yeah? Eddie Reynoso didn't want to tell Alvarez, you shit your pants, you're shitting your pants here, you're throwing it away, you're losing, you're jacking. He's thinking, well, you know, I've been with Canelo for years and let's not rock the boat. Even if we lose this fight, there's still going to be another $50 million payday coming. Let me just keep my head down and not rock the boat. That's what he said. I respect Bomac. Like I said, Bomac told Terence, man, you could be losing this. I mean, and that's for me, that's the bare bones minimum. The bare bones minimum you should be saying is, you could be losing this. Really, I'll be saying, you're getting your ass whooped. That's what I'm seeing. Oops. And if you don't like it, go do something about it. That's what you want to do. Especially in Johnston's situation, when he's in there with a middleweight, it's embarrassing. How can you be in a middleweight and not tell him to lay the hammer down? I didn't hear Rob McCracken say lay the hammer down once. In fact, I heard him saying, that's it AJ, nice and slow behind the jab. And the same with Robert Garcia. When Mikey Garcia, his so-called brother, and he's such a good trainer, he trained his brother. Well, why is it Robert Garcia can't motivate his own brother then? And what makes you think he's going to be able to motivate Johnston? When I've seen Mikey Garcia fight exactly the same way as AJ. Like I said, this is a cancer in the sport. These guys, all they care about is the coin. They're massively overpaid, and they think, well, if I lose, Eddie Hearn's going to give me a big massive DAZN bag again anyway. Is that not the case? AJ loses, he getting a big Saudi korma dump bag again. Yeah? Mikey Garcia, no doubt, loses, no problem, big bag again. There's no corrective measures. In no other industry, yeah? When us man go to work, if you do crap at your job, you get dropped quick. You don't get a big bonus payment, do you? It's really one of the only sports in the game where you can get beaten, just come back and make a whole bunch more money again. It's mad. But I do blame a lot of you fans who pay for it. Like I said, if I had it my way, AJ wouldn't get one pay-per-view sale. Just on principle, not one. Everyone should stream the fight. Bottom line. Every single one. And that's why I believe AJ's really going to Saudi. Because I don't think he cares about the pay-per-view. He's going to Saudi and some prince going to dump on him. Give him a nice korma dump in his mouth. And that's where the money is really coming from. AJ's clocked on. Wait a minute. Fans ain't going to want to buy this pay-per-view. We best go to Saudi and get one of them princes to give me a good old dumping on. You know, get that good korma dump coin. That's what AJ doing right now, 100%. But anyway, listen. If it's Robert Garcia, don't expect no changes. To be fair to Mikey Garcia, technically speaking, is pretty sound. So Robert Garcia probably will be able to show AJ some technical elements. For example, Mikey Garcia, to his credit, he was able to negotiate the fight against Spence. Even though he showed no greatness in that fight. Mikey Garcia came into the Spence fight to lose. To make a big payday, but to lose. He showed no desire to win the fight whatsoever. He turned up and was a heavy bag. But the point is, at least he knows how to defend himself. He knew how to tuck his elbows in and get his chin down. And it's embarrassing really that AJ don't know how to do that, but he don't. You show me any fight of AJ's where you've seen him tucked up and being able to be defensively aware. Show me it. Show me where you've seen AJ on the ropes just riding shots and catching them and whatnot. You don't see that. Yeah? I've never seen AJ look defensively confident. People like Floyd Mayweather, and not just him, but there's a whole bunch of fighters who know how to defend themselves. AJ isn't one of them. So maybe Robert Garcia can add that element to his game. But again, like I said at the start, AJ can have all the technique he wants, even if we max out all of his technique stuff. All that'll mean is that he loses and gets hit a little less, maybe. Do you understand? He needs a real, proper, old school general. And Mike Tyson talked about it. Mike Tyson was actually very unconfident when he was younger. But D'Amato got into his bonds and rewired it all. Yeah? And Mike Tyson talks about how he wasn't at certain points, at the peak of his career, when Cuss was around, he wasn't even thinking for himself. Yeah? If Cuss told him to bite, he would bite. Now obviously that's dramatic, but the point is, that's what great generals do. They inspire their troops to go over the trench. Yeah? In the trenches, people have got the machine gun line, where they just lay down big heavy. Men had to come out of the trench and go running over it. Like that. Yeah? And of course, a lot of the time it's because you get shot if you don't, but still, to some extent, people who've been involved, they talk about great leadership will inspire you. Yeah? Do I see great leadership? AJ needs a great leader right now. A charismatic leader. Do I see a great charismatic leader in... what's the guy's name? Robert Garcia. I don't. And I've already explained to you the evidence. Because the thing about being a great charismatic leader is you don't switch it on and off. You're either that or you're not. Yeah? And Robert Garcia ain't that. Because if he was, Marky Garcia wouldn't be getting schooled. And like he had been schooled the other day. Simple as that. But this shows you AJ's headspace. He's too focused on the names, you see. Oh, the names. Oh, but the name. Oh, let me get myself a name. And in a way, I feel sorry for AJ, because he went from taking some random dude called Angel Fernandez, who's completely useless, to now obviously realising, well, I need a big name now. But it's almost like he goes from one extreme to the other. And the one experiment, and the one person AJ decided to experiment with was completely useless in Angel Fernandez. Do you understand? I mean, fucking hell. What AJ should have done, if you were going to be experimenting with bum trainers, you may as well have given the YB a go. You've got nothing to lose. Yeah? Because you've seen what Angel can do. He'd get your head boxed off. Facts. You get your head boxed off and get your knee knocked out by a cruiserweight. That's what we do know. That's what did happen. At least with the YB, I think you got a chance and change something up. But anyway, scrap that, mate. I'm happy. I like roasting the dude anyway, truth be known. But yeah, Robert Garcia allegedly being brought in. It won't make no difference in my opinion. And listen, if it does, I'll eat my hat. If Robert Garcia is able to inspire AJ, more power to him. I don't see it. I don't see it. And in fact, look at the rest. In fact, I've got to critique some of the things I've said already. I've just told you that, maybe Robert Garcia can give AJ some better defensive technique. But really, look at Robert Garcia spent about 10 years with Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios would eat punches with his mouth. Literally. Eat punches with his mouth. Useless defense. Useless strategy. Useless technique. So, I'm afraid to say, I mean, when you look at a whole lot of it, it's not looking good. God knows what may... honestly, I'd love to know the decision-making process. Based on what are you choosing Robert Garcia? If I was to bet, I think Robert Garcia was the cheapest one. That's what I think it was. AJ, he loves money. He's tight as well. And I think Robert Garcia came in and said, listen, if that guy will do it for 15, I'll do it for 12%. And AJ said, damn, that's a deal. And that's what I've been telling people for a long time. When you're in the state AJ's in, now isn't the time to be frugal. Now's the time to go all in. Yeah? And to be honest, if I had to pick one trainer, I'd be knocking down Tyson Fury's trainer's door, to be quite frank with you. He seems to get, and I gotta admit, well, certain things I still disagree with fundamentally, but as far as the most complete guy from I see, I'd go with Sugar. Especially when you consider that Tyson Fury was a pansy running around funny style dude. And the fact, for whatever reason or not, Sugar Hill was able to flip. Let's be real now, Tyson Fury was en route to going down as one of the most pansy boxers in history. That's what it was, people. As far as heavyweight boxing goes, Tyson Fury is going to go down as one of the guys with the least power in the whole history of the game. Now, in 1 year, or less than a year, he turned that, and Tyson Fury gives a lot of the credit to Sugar Hill. So, for a trainer to take one of the least power-having heavyweights in the history of the game and turn him into a one-punch guy. Because Dillian White didn't even get warmed up, he just got iced. That's it. And Tyson Fury knocked Deontay Wilder around the ring twice as well. Something that the big bad King Kong Ortiz couldn't do to save his life. So the evidence is there. Now AJ doesn't have them power punching flaws. So imagine what you could do. But again, AJ, he's not in the right mindset. He's too prideful. What he needs to do is humble himself and say, listen, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, and I've proven that. Now, my question is to Team AJ, who is, and this is how you can tell AJ isn't smart, because if I was AJ, I'd be thinking, wait there a minute, I know I don't have a clue what I'm doing, so what business has a man who doesn't have a clue what he's doing got to make decisions like this? You clearly don't know how to make the key decisions. That's why you got filled in with a whole team full of trainers. People around AJ should be telling him, listen AJ, we've tried it your way for 5 years and you've got worse every time. You lost to Ruiz and then got worse some more. You shit your pants in the rematch and then got worse and got scored by a middleweight after going life and death with Kubrat Bumlev. Yeah? So you've shown you don't know what you're doing. Sit down somewhere and be a meathead, which is what you was made to do. You're not a thinker, AJ. I'm sorry. You're not. You're a bonehead, at best. That's the truth. Sit down and let them bring the YB in. And I'm sorry, but it ain't going to be free this time. I'm charging 10% off the top. Simple as that. Yeah? I offered it free before. You didn't take it. It's peak for you right now. Because you ain't got, your whole team ain't got no IQ between a lot of you. In fact, facts, you ain't. Robert Garcia, let's be real now.